is a definitive proof that Ibn Taymiyyah's position was not that you cannot use philosophy. It's a definitive proof. And by the way, there are so many of these quotes. This is for me one of the clearest ones. But if you want, and we can get a whole, because it's important that we start with this preamble. People will say, why are you using philosophy? Say, well, look at Ibn Taymiyyah saying it here. Ibn Taymiyyah continued. Ibn Taymiyyah has wrote a book called Mas'alat Huduth al-Alam. And this it means the issue of the universe, how it started. And then he's talking about what evidences can be used and what evidences cannot be used. And he says something really interesting. And this is important for if you want to relate Islam to other people. These detailed arguments that we're going through today, the majority of people, A, do not need them. And number two, will not understand them. This is very important, okay? Because the layperson doesn't need this, okay? It's a person of a certain level of intelligence, a certain level of academic ability, maybe an analytic background that will require this. Ibn Taymiyyah states, after the verse, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ, were they created from nothing, or are they themselves the creators of themselves? He said, this categorization is the easiest and clearest way that one can reason the existence of a creator with the most minimal amount of introspection. This is because the slave knows that he once did not exist, and then he came into existence after he did not exist. Yani, the verse says, أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ, were they created from nothing? So there was nothing, and then there was something. Okay, yeah, I understand that. It's very, very clear for anybody to know that something cannot come from nothing. Yani, in the history of philosophy, a few have dared, only a few have dared to go against this proposition, because nothing is the absence of something. And it's not a serious postulation to make that something can come from nothing. Okay, and this is one of the objections. We will deal with it in the lesson 5, actually. And then it says, he also knows that he did not create himself or bring himself into existence. Likewise, you can say the same thing about the universe. The universe did not create itself, and it did not bring itself into existence. So it didn't come from nothing. Okay, so the universe did not come from nothing. Okay, so the universe did not create itself. What other options do we have? There's a third option, which is that the universe was always there, which is the eternal option. But even then, what is it dependent on? Because, and we'll come to this, dependency and causation are two different things. Therefore, it will lead to an understanding of there's an ultimate independent. The cause, or the thing that everything is dependent upon, and that's the third and most understood option. This is really where you can stop. I mean, you can speak to a person on the street and say, did you come from nothing? Did the universe come from nothing? They say yes or no. Did the universe create itself? It can't. It's like a mother, Hamza also says, it's like a mother giving birth to herself. A mother cannot give birth to herself. The universe cannot give birth to itself, or cannot incept itself. It cannot preponderate itself. It cannot come into existence in this manner. And so this is the second option. Therefore, the third option is quite easier to come by, And this kind of approach is much simpler, people will understand it, than anything we're ever going to say after this point. You see, I'm just letting you know. But we need to be able to know the high-level arguments as well, because nowadays, people are going to argue in a way which requires proper refutation. And the new atheist movement is already on the decline, and we need to make sure it stays that way. Okay, and this is how we do it. So, in terms of the schedule, there's going to be